You're an outside the belly, and I'm John Fredericks, and I am your blowtorch of free speech in America, your oracle of the deplorables. And thanks for being with us right now. Union label legislators in Richmond are pushing it to impose union monopoly bargaining on all Virginia state and local government workers. This is just nonsense, folks. It's going to cost taxpayers billions while reducing state and local governments' flexibility to deliver services efficiently. In fact, years ago, the Heritage Foundation found that government monopoly bargaining in a state cost a family of four $3,000 in increased taxes per year. Tell your legislators in Virginia no, and Governor Spanberger to oppose union monopoly bargaining over state and local government workers. Now, how do you do this? We make it easy, easy peasy. We hit the easy button. Just sign the petition. Go to virginiarighttowork.com. Spell out Virginia. virginiarighttowork.com. That's virginiarighttowork.com. Paid for by the National Right to Work Committee. Once you do this petition, we will send it to your House member. We will send it to your state Senate member. We will send it to Governor Spanberger. We do it all one-stop shop. We just need you to go on the site and sign the petition and make your voice heard in Virginia. Go to virginiarighttowork.com. And again, this message paid for by the National Right to Work Committee, in case I didn't say that, 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. I want to thank Rob for his spirited dialogue that we had going on. And let us get to, I'm going to get to Greg Gutfield, who I don't play this kind of stuff a lot, but I think he was onto something here. I'm going to get to this. Is going to be number 14, Tyler. Here's Gutfield. He says the tragedy that activists have portrayed trans rights as civil rights when it's a mental illness. This is the first time I've heard somebody say this. And kudos to Greg Gutfield for doing this, because this is really what this is. This is a mental illness. And having these people portrayed as something about civil rights, I mean, they're sick. These are sick people that need mental help. And he nailed it here. So let's go to 14. Take a listen.
That has to be addressed.
Greg, where do you want to begin here?
Well, before the media had made this into a civil rights issue, we never talked about this population. It was the tiniest fraction, truly statistically insignificant out of 370 million people. Nobody knew them. They didn't want to be known. Everything was good. Then it became a civil rights issue. It was designed to be the tip of the spear, that if you push trans rights first and it comes up against some kind of phobia, then women are next, then blacks are next. That's how they sold it. That's how they still sell it. It became a self-reported phenomenon where if you said you were trans, you were trans. And when you offered glowing attention and regard, what are you going to get from people who are mentally ill and whose mental illness is a stigma that then could be turned into a badge of honor? Look, I look at that. I do not see a woman. Sorry, I don't. The Democrats would demand that you do. We relied on our eyes and our ears and common sense. But Biden, remember when Biden said, I got your back, trans? It was about this. They were trying to gaslight us into thinking that trans rights was the tip of the rights spear. And we had to believe in this tentpole hoax. But it was actually throwing blacks and women under the bus, especially in sports. It's what Hillary did in Munich by having a trans woman speak on women's rights. So I echo Kennedy, the poor families who are stuck with this tragedy. It's a tragedy that activists, administrators, bloggers, websites had portrayed this as some kind of civil rights thing when it was a mental illness married to a social contagion. That's all it was, and it killed people.
Yeah, like Live Authentically has slipped into, well, he's a psychopath, but at least he's on our side.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I don't know how he could have put that better. This is a mental disease that's being portrayed as a civil rights issue. I mean, you go back to what the civil rights was really about, and was a shame, right? It was just awful. So, yeah, it's all good. 888-480, John, you want to weigh in? 888-480-5646. This was pretty interesting. The AOC in Munich was so pathetic. I mean, it was really so ridiculous. Let's get to Kevin O'Leary again. He just had a really good night last night. Let's get to Kevin O'Leary again, and this is going to be cut 6 on AOC. Yesterday, roll it.
So a couple of ums before answering a question on Taiwan.
Not a big deal.
You should go to Queens once in a while
Yeah,
before she goes to Munich. That would probably help.
She has gone to Queens a few times, so she's listen. She doesn't. She's not a foreign policy expert.
Clearly.
And so no, she's not.
Clearly.
She's not.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Come on, give her a break.
You guys, this is
You don't even
exhausting.
know who's
Like, you
running in
cannot-
Texas,
you're
okay? So
exhausted.
there's a ton of things
You
you
don't know. Stop being so condescending.
You know, for 5 seconds, let somebody finish their thoughts before you have to
I
be
would like to
rude.
see how you would be able to answer that. Look, I think that it takes a lot of courage, and I think for her to be expanding her message, for her to be expanding her areas of policy interest are a good thing. She is one of 435 members of Congress. There's a lot of them there that don't come with a breadth of foreign policy
You're right. She
knowledge.
was fabulous.
It's not about her being
fabulous.
It wasn't.
Say something here.
It wasn't about
Let's
her
say
being
you're
fabulous.
hired to give a speech. Let's say you're hired because you're expected to deliver information to an audience. Let's say you're even paid for it. When you go and do that, what happens is the agency that hired you, whether it's the government, your own party, says that was not your best moment. In fact, they tied you back to Kamala Harris. You were so bad, you sounded like her. And by the way, I'm sorry, it's not a partisan issue. She was terrible. Get over it. Now maybe she'll get better.
20 seconds. That was the end of the reality.
All right, let's bring Jim Pfaff in.
No.
As part of this discussion. Jim Pfaff, head of the Conservative Caucus. Jim, great to have you with us. By the way, I'm going to what is it? A kind of a happy hour with your D.C. Conservative Caucus director. I didn't even know they had one in Washington, D.C. I'm so excited to be able to meet Linda. So I don't know if you set me up with that. She said, I heard a lot about you. When everybody says that, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? I hope it's good.
Yeah, we've had someone there for quite a few years now. Lori Furstenberg has been doing it for, I think, 4 years at least. And yeah, we're expanding across the nation. We've got a lot of great state work about to come and a lot to announce. So I'm glad you're going to that.
Well, I'm going to her happy hour. I don't even know where it is. I got the flyer. I haven't looked at it, but I committed, so I look forward to that. But I did ask her if she signed my petition, and she hedged on it. I'm like, just sign the petition. Come on, man. She says, well, I have to see what your positions are. I'm like, my positions are, let's see, I'm not nuts. That's my position. Okay, Jim, we got a lot to talk about. Let's start. I don't even know where to start here. We're going to have to extend you beyond 8 because you were late getting out. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get first go backwards. This AOC speech in Munich. Did you hear that thing? What the hell was that, Jim Pfaff?
Yeah, I listen. That whoever that was on the CNN interview there was trying to say, don't quit putting people down. Listen, I'm going to be putting AOC down. I'm going to be putting her down for 2 reasons. One, she's dumb. I mean, let's just be honest. By the way, they say that she studied economics in college. I got maybe economics 101 and then that badly. So she's not very intelligent. But what's really bad about what she did is not just her lack of intelligence. It just shows that she doesn't give a flip. She's going to do what she wants to do. She's going to say what she wants to say. She like Zoran Mamdani, with no life experience, nothing useful that they've ever done, is still going to work to politically impose upon Americans this radical idea of Maoist communism that they subscribe to and have no understanding of even themselves. They don't even know how communism eats its own supporters. Okay, I just look at the succession after the Bolshevik Revolution of Lenin through Trotsky, through Stalin. I mean, everybody killed one another. They shut themselves down. Once someone gets a hold of that power, they run with it. So that AOC would be a very dangerous person to ever have any authority other than legislative authority and to be able to spout her mouth off in stupid ways.
What'd you think of? Let's juxtapose that to Rubio's speech. What'd you think?
Marco Rubio proves himself over and over again, not just to be excellent at the political aspect of what he needs to do. And by the way, politics, as Ronald Reagan said, is the world's second oldest profession and has many of the characteristics of the first. And I agree with that. But there are also people who understand, as you're working through the political milieu of trying to describe what needs to happen, make your case for what you're doing so people can support it, you do need to have political skills. Marco Rubio proves his political skills are beyond comparison for what we see in the standard way of doing things in the United States right now, and on the world stage. But even more, he is incredibly intelligent. He has his facts and figures down. He has the background to it. I always thought Marco Rubio was smart, but as he's Secretary of State, his grasp of the history of things that is going on proves that he's not just spouting off words. Well, you can agree or disagree with him, but he's not just spouting off the words. He's actually speaking from the foundation of what's really going on historically in the circumstances he addresses, and how that all connects to today. Listen, he's trying to be president. There are times he's running right beyond J.D. Vance to president, and it's very impressive.
I don't see, if he decides to run, I don't really see how Vance beats him.
I think it's a jump ball, because then JD's back on the stage and he's really fantastic in everything that he does. He's very intelligent as well, has a grasp of things. At that point, it's just going to be a matter of what are the distinctions and which distinction will most Republicans decide.
And
I'm
who's
going to
more
be happy
electable?
either way.
And then, but what about who's more electable in the general election? I mean, that's got to come into your thinking, right?
Well, no, I think it will, and I think so far JD has shown that he can do that on the stage. Let me tell you one edge that Marco have. A lot of people don't know this, but Marco Rubio speaks Spanish like a native. He is able to communicate in the Hispanic community, not just because he speaks Spanish so well. He also knows the Hispanic community as well or better than anyone. From a conservative perspective, obviously, he's not a La Raza. He doesn't understand it from a La Raza left-wing political perspective, but he knows all the issues that are. I've observed this, by the way, through the years. He and Ted Cruz, a lot of people don't know, they speak Spanish like natives. And so anyway, that's going to be really helpful, because he can go on Univision or Telemundo and talk and communicate into the Hispanic community. They're going to know his background, and even though he's obviously would have political detractors, they're going to know his background. They're going to be able to hear clearly what he says. Even if they speak English, they're going to appreciate the fact that he would do so in Spanish. I think that might just be that's one of those practical edges that sometimes politicians can take advantage of, notwithstanding what the actual distinctives are.
You're on the John Fredericks Media Network. Jim Pfaff with us, the president of the Conservative Caucus, based here in Washington, D.C. with me. Jim, Virginia, it looks like this referendum is going to get on the ballot. April 21st is the date. The Supreme Court of Virginia, which we thought was going to knock this thing down 7-0 for 26, punted like the cowardly, feckless weasels they are. I don't know how these people became judges. They punted the decision until 2 days. We're going to extend here, Tyler, until 2 days after the referendum. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, when you see courts do these sorts of things, there was an intent and a reason for it. And now we know they just didn't want to get in the game. They were cowards. We have to understand. It brings up a broader issue. First, well, let me just talk about Virginia first. For Virginia, they need to. I think Virginians may rise up and knock this thing down. I think there might be a chance of knocking it down, but Democrats are going to put millions and millions into it. That's the first thing. I don't know that for sure. But the second thing is this. It shows that our courts, we have to recognize court decisions are not the final answer to everything. These are human institutions as well. These are not gods that sit behind the bench and do things. And these justices were absolutely influenced by their fear for what the reaction would be to whatever they would do. And what that proves, and what we need to take a lesson from in that, is that the violence on the streets that Democrats are the progenitors of is intended to tear down the government.
I got to write that down. You know what? I hadn't really thought of that, and I see how that ties in to Virginia. I think you're absolutely right. I haven't thought of that. That's very insightful, Jim. Very insightful.
Well,
Thank you for that.
listen, let's just keep in mind, Virginia, even as it's been going purple than blue, has still been a state where a lot of rational, reasonable people live. I mean, they were electing Republicans for decades, while nationally it was going blue, trending towards blue. There are a lot of rational, wonderful people. They are human beings. And the purpose of violence is to force change. It is not a so-called democratic thing to do. It is meant to intimidate. This is what Mussolini did to take power in Italy. His black shirts were all over the country, intimidating political opponents, intimidating people who had money, who could help some political opponents have a place. And if you want to make the comparisons, that's what that is. The two main political movements that destroyed otherwise good countries was Mussolini's effort that ultimately intimidated Emmanuel III to give him power in the late 1920s. And then is Maoist China. I mean, let's not forget, Taiwan are the refugees that went with Chiang Kai-shek to Formosa when they were losing the battle, the physical battle with Mao Zedong. And China, an otherwise great nation in many ways, was befallen to this sort of intimidation and then ultimately political effort to drive out its enemies. And to subject them to their political will. Power and violence are used for political gain. That is the number one thing in history. We are an aberration in staying away from that in the United States for as long as we have. And I hope we continue to do so.
Well, I think you nailed it, Jim Pfaff. Okay, so we talked about Rubio Vance. We got to go in a minute, but I want you to take our poll. We got the first sophisticated straw poll in the 2028 election in the nation. And I'm going to send you that link there. Take you about 3 minutes. You'll rank your candidates 1 to 11. We got some interesting preliminary results. We're going to release the first batch when we hit 10,000 participants. Every state except Hawaii has participated. So we're running this across the nation. So I'm going to send you that. Send it to Linda as well. Are you going to be there tonight at the cocktail thing that she has going on?
No, I'm in California right now on a trip.
Oh, California. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Enjoy the sunshine.
I am too.
Where are you? What part?
South of LA.
Well, you could be a lot worse places. We're going to be at UCLA, right? University College of Los Angeles. We'll be at UCLA second week in March. Maryland baseball.
Oh.
My son plays on the team, goes there.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah, so
Awesome.
we're looking forward to some getting out of the cold here. It's free. It's still cold here in DC, man.
Well, by the way, it's cold and windy here. You can't hear it in the background because I've got noise canceling on my earphones. The wind is amazing. The weather is totally an aberration of your typical California weather right now, but it's going to get better.
All right. Well, be safe. Jim, thanks for being with us. We'll see you soon. And thanks for getting up early, being that it's 4:30 out there. Thanks, Jim. You're doing Godzilla time. We're going to be right back. Jim Pfaff, people want to follow you. Where do they go?
TheConservativeCaucus.com. The THE conservativecaucus.com.
All right, Jim, thanks. Hang in there. We're going to be right back. Senator Rose, West Virginia, trying to annex Virginia, Maryland, the whole bit. Get rid of the income tax. He's next. Keep it right here.